Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Arch Talk 101, and we have Tyson on the line. We're going to talk to him about archery and see what's going on, and who knows what else we'll get into, but we're going to have a good conversation. Welcome to the show, Tyson.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
How about if you introduce yourself and then tell us a little something about you?
Um, my name's Tyson Kline. Um, I've been shooting bow since I was 3 or 4 years old, and started competitive archery in 2017, and it's just been a journey. I worked myself up to where I got into the pro class, and it really changed a lot of things. Um, I got a good coach out of New York State that helped me with the mental side of the game, and that was a big turning point for me. Um, I love archery. Um, it's really more of a passion than anything. I think the good Lord has given me this to teach me about myself, about life. Archery is you can relate it to so many things. It can teach you, it can humble you. Um, but I don't know, when I'm in a tournament, I just feel like the hand of God's on me. It's an awesome feeling. Um, but I feel like he uses my arms to guide my arrows, and if I do what I'm supposed to do, I can be there at the end of it, you know.
Yeah,
But but it's really it's really an undescribable feeling what archery does for me. Um, that being hunting as well. Just sitting out there in the stand by yourself, just you and nature, and the things that you see, just undescribable. You get to see things that you'll never see sitting in front of that TV. That's for sure.
no, unless you're watching the guy that's out there sitting there taking a video of what you should be seeing live.
Yeah, right. It's way more fun to be in live. That's for sure.
When you're
So,
sitting in that tree stand and this bird lands, just you know real close to your feet where you could have actually kicked it, when they're that close, or they land on you and stuff like that. The birds thinks your tree just lands on you and they're chirping and
yeah, and you don't move, and he'll just sit there.
yeah,
I've been sitting in a tree stand. I've had squirrels run across my lap. I mean, that's just you just don't move. And when you do move, oh boy, their expressions are pretty great. They skedaddle pretty quick, like when that tree moves.
yeah. I know that I've been out where squirrels are running around, and if you're in full camo, face mask, and everything, they can't figure you out. They don't know what you are. And I've been out there and just moved around. And one time I was sitting in a tree stand, and here's this squirrel running across the tree branch, below me. Is I wasn't that high, but I'm looking at there, and he stops. He's looking around, looking at me, and I says, "Well, is squirrel season open? I'm not sure because I was out there deer hunting. I undid my wallet. I pulled it out and opened it up, put it in the car. It's like squirrel season's open. I have a tag. I have a hunting tag, so I can shoot it. Put it back in my wallet. Squirrel's looking at me the whole time. I take my bow. I draw back. I'm aiming at it. It's still looking at me at the same time. It didn't even move till the arrow went through it.
It's a neat thing for sure.
Now, if you're not in
Uh,
camo, yeah, out there with a shotgun hunting for squirrels. You get out there and they're hidden. You almost have to take two or three shots at one to get it to move, because it's so hidden from there. It's hard to hit them. But yet, if you walk out there with full camo, they just look at you. I had one was sitting on top of a post on a fence, and there's a great big grass field, and I'm looking at it, I'm waving. I'm not going to shoot at it because I'm not wasting an arrow for a squirrel. You know, you know,
yeah,
they didn't know, don't know what you are in it. But if they're standing on you, sitting on you, you start moving, yeah, that's something else.
yeah, yeah. I've been hunting since a very young age. My dad used to take me out, no safety harness. He'd stuff me up in the crotch of a tree with him, and don't move, be quiet. Well, now that I have three little girls under age of 9. Uh, I kind of know what Dad went through trying to get me to hold still.
Yeah, try
And then the
to keep
first time he
moving.
lets you call, oh, that's enough. That's enough, you know. But you know, it's making memories, and those are the memories that last. Taking the
Yeah,
kids out and set them in the blind, you may not see a deer, but uh, you'll see other things. You'll see the squirrels. You'll see a raccoon walk right under your tree, and little kids, man, they just soak that up.
yeah.
They just love it,
I mean, little
and
kids,
I
we
do
do.
too. Well, I love it too. But you know, I've seen a lot of it, but watching the raccoons and stuff, that's pretty neat.
Yeah,
They are a goofy animal. They use their hands for so much.
yeah, they do.
It's it's people. I mean, until people actually see it, you know, you wouldn't realize how much they actually use their hands and how intelligent that animal actually is.
Yeah,
So I know that I do a lot of pesting, and so I'll go to the feedlots and take care of coons and stuff. And I never realized how much you actually had to play the wind, because if you get out of the truck and the wind blows to them, the coons are gone. If they're even if they're in the bunks intertwined and doing what they're doing, they'll run off and you won't get them. But we do a lot of me and a buddy, we do a lot of thermal. We go out and take care of the coons for customers that call us. Hey, we've got a major coon problem. Can you come take care of it? Or coyotes. Um, but that's not too much archery related, but it's just something we do when I'm not shooting my bow, because I shoot pretty much every day. Especially when indoor season starts coming, I'll start prepping for Vegas, and all the kids will go to bed, say around 9 o'clock, and I'll start shooting. And sometimes I'll shoot till 2, 3 in the morning, um, when I'm prepping, and sometimes even later. If I'm shooting good, I'm going to keep shooting just because I love doing it. And I depend on my wife to wake me up in the morning. I know that's horrible, but that otherwise there'd be no way that I could be to the level that I am now without putting in that work. And it's taken millions of arrows to get where I'm shooting now, and I'm still not where I want to be. I've got a lot of room to grow, and I got a lot to learn. I suppose the one thing I think that's kind of funny is, you know, I say archery takes 5 minutes to learn, but a lifetime to never master. I mean, it really does. It's kind of like golf in that aspect. My coach refers to golf a lot, but uh, I'm not much of a golfer. But it doesn't take that long to learn to play the game, but to learn the mechanics and all that stuff, to develop a good shot and a pre-shot routine, that takes time. Um, but then basically, when you get to a certain level, then it becomes up here, and that's something that I was totally lacking. And that's something I try to work on a lot, is the mental side of it, shooting competitively.
yeah, and it's so easy to, get in somebody's head, just by the comment. It's like, getting ready to go up on line. It says, now don't miss. What are you going to do? You're going to miss, because what are you thinking
You're
about?
gonna miss.
Missing. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just pre-programmed your subconscious mind. So our brain's like a computer. It'll do whatever you tell it to do. But learning to control that computer's it's 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 tough, really is. So, but I've got a lot of work to do on that side of it yet, and I got a coach that works with me. I've never even actually met the guy. It's all been over the phone. A good friend of mine, Chuck Cooley, he's out of New York. Used to be the NFAA Pro Chair. Got me hooked up with this fella, Gary Neal, out of he's out of New York too, and they've been two of the biggest influencers in getting me to where I am now. Um, Great help. Chuck, he used to run a lens company, and now he helped design the new X Focus 365 lens, which is what I shoot now. I run a 4x magnification on pretty much, well, not pretty much everything. This year, I think I did a 6x for indoor, and for outdoor, I shoot a 4x. I just feel like the 4X is easier for me to, well, I wouldn't say silhouette shoot them, but I can see the whole animal. So if it's really dark, I can still see where to put my pin and keep it in a general vicinity. But 3D is a whole new game. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's different than punch paper for me at 20 yards, which is probably my favorite thing to do is indoor 3 spot. I love it. I don't know why. I can shoot those targets 8 hours straight and just not get old of it. I don't know why. There's just nothing as euphoric as watching that arrow fly through the air and land right in the middle, and you just
Yeah.
sit there and bore out a hole, and that's an awesome feeling. The feeling every time it goes in the middle, just it never changes. Just it's I guess best way to explain it is euphoric. It's just awesome.
Yeah, there's something when that shot goes off and it's that total surprise and everything just felt good and you stick that right in the center of the X.
Yeah, it's awesome. It really is. It's great. But yeah. Do you do much indoor, or do you shoot much tournaments or anything, or you just mainly hunt, or?
Not too much right now. I had a little over a year ago I had a triple bypass and I can't pull my bow back yet. And then this April I was in an accident. Guy decided he didn't want to even slow down while I was turning and hit me really hard. So I'm still trying to get my strength back from that, and it's starting to come back. So um, I just need to try and get my bow out, see if I can pull it back.
Yeah, I bought my dad one of those AccuBows. My dad's 78, and he still walks a mile into his tree stand, still roofs, still pours concrete, still does all that stuff. He won't slow down, but he was noticing that he was having trouble pulling his bow, so I got him an AccuBow, and that helped. And then I decreased his poundage on his limbs. I called and bought a set of limbs from Hoyt and changed them out for him, and he's back to slinging sticks again. So, but for him to go to an indoor tournament and shoot like a 5 spot or even a 3 spot, he could probably do a 3 spot, but a 5 spot, the 60 arrows, he gets pretty wore out pretty quick.
Yeah, the
But
five
I told
spots,
him, I
60
said, if
arrows. The three spots,
yeah,
how many arrows?
3 spots 30,
30. Oh, well, that's not too.
30 with 2 practice ends, so it's actually 36 arrows. So you have 2 practice ends at the beginning, and then you'll shoot 10 ends of three. So you got 30 for score. But and I think he can do pretty all right at that. He gets frustrated. He's like, I can't shoot like I used to. Well, Dad, you're 78. Most 78-year-olds aren't even like drawing a bow. They're not even thinking about that. They're sitting on the 5-gallon bucket on the bank fishing, and you're shooting sticks. I mean, that's pretty cool. But he travels a lot with me, like to these tournaments. Him and me will get in the truck, and gives him something to look forward to and me something to look forward to. Get to spend time with my dad and travel and see everywhere. I got to actually take my wife to Camp Minden, Louisiana this year. It was the first time that she's got to go anywhere with me since we've had kids. Just her and me. So that was really cool, getting to go and go down to Louisiana. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ate some good food down there and uh, shot my bow. Decided before I left it was a good idea not to tie in my peep sight, and then I couldn't figure out why I kept hitting higher and higher and higher. Well, I'd restrung my bow and hadn't. I just put the initial tie on it so that I run that hamski peep, and it seems like if you don't just put a little string around that hamski peep will fly out. And so I just put the initial tie in so I could get where I wanted it. Well, I got it where I wanted it and forgot to like tie it in securely. And then when I got down there and got the humidity come up, and I think that was part of it, really hot, and the strings, just got really hot. I think that the peep just started sliding up the string, and it doesn't take much for a guy to start shooting high.
No.
So, but yeah, this year for 3D for me has been a struggle. I shoot in a known pro class, so I learned a lot of stuff, um, but I had some learning curves, we'll say that. But I hadn't shot any 3D since back in 2019 when I was still shooting like known 45. But the
Yeah,
known pro, we moved out to 60 yards this year, which is maybe this year or last year they did that, but it's a lot of fun shooting them rings you can't see at 60 yards. That's pretty neat.
yeah, yeah. When you can't see them, that's kind of tough there.
Yeah, I think the guys that know the target's really good. I think they have a real good advantage over you. Um, but I got hooked up with Zeiss and they sent me some 15s, so I can at least look down there and see some rings and kind of remember where they're at, and that really helped a lot. I just did when first couple tournaments I didn't have the power in my binos to see where I needed to go, and
Yeah,
that was, I mean, because it's not like where you'd normally shoot a deer generally. I mean, they're spaced a little bit different, and I always, try to bury it right behind the crease on the leg or something, when I'm out hunting. And the rings are always just in a little bit different spot. And you're basically trying to hit a Vegas 10 ring at between most of our targets were between 50 and 60 this year. You'll have an occasional one that's shorter than that, but um, for the most part, most of them average between 50 and 60, which is awesome. It's a lot of fun.
yeah.
Creates a whole new aspect to it.
That's the disadvantage of 3D shooting is because that's not where you're going to shoot the animal.
Hmm.
'Cause very few times are you going to have that shot where that is the placement. As you start shooting up, it changes and but the 3D target doesn't change where you shoot it
No,
because you're
no.
shooting to the outside surface, not the middle low where the heart is.
Yep. But it's definitely a challenge, and I love it. I love all games archery. I really like field. That's one of my favorites because you get to shoot so many arrows. Um, but I didn't get to go to field nationals this year. I had to kind of pick and choose what I did. Um, the only one that I may go to now, before indoor starts, is maybe outdoor target nationals, and then I'm trying to decide whether I should go to whether I can afford to go to Lancaster or not. I'd really like to go shoot that. I think that'd be a really fun event. Rob Koffold puts on an awesome, awesome tournament out there. Um, I've got friends out there that I could stay, uh, so I probably wouldn't even have to get a motel. I got two or three friends that live in PA,
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
so that'd save me
Let's,
some money there.
yeah, go see them and spend some time with them and shoot.
Yep, yep. Go shoot some sharp sticks and see if we can make that top eight, so we get on YouTube or TV or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. Um, those that I've talked to that've gone out there said it's always a lot of fun.
No, I guess that Spooky Nook's a pretty big facility too. I've
Never been
never
out there,
actually
so I
seen
don't
it.
know.
Yeah, I'm the one thing I'd really like to do is just go see Lancaster Archery Supply. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I've been a small little dealer for Rob, um, and I'm able to get stuff for my customers at a dealer cost, and that helps me out because I run a little bow shop here, um, in Smith Center, and just uh, help out a lot. I help out a lot of high school kids, and I got some guys that travel actually, 2-3 hours to come and see me to have me fix their stuff and work on their stuff and tune it and help them with some form every once in a while and stuff like that. But yeah, I have a full indoor range in my shop. It's full indoor 20. It's heated. Definitely don't have AC. I'm not that rich.
yeah.
But
In
I
the
do I
summertime,
do
that
get
can
out
be
of wood stove.
expensive.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I got a good wood stove in there, and I got a couple propane heaters that I can flip on, and I can go out and shoot my basketball shorts when it's negative 12.
Yeah.
So, and it's only like 40 yards from my house. So it's not like I got to pack up, go to the range. And I got bow presses and everything so I can work on all my own stuff. I do all my own tuning and build my own arrows, stuff like that. Uh, I really enjoy the tinkering aspect of it and just trying to make the bow shoot as good as the bow can shoot. I mean, it's a machine. It's always going to shoot better than us. We're
Yeah.
the imperfect ones. It's always going to do the same thing no matter what. I mean, you can take an untuned bow, and as long as you repeat the shot, it's going to hit the same hole every time. But it's when we don't make a perfect shot, that having a really good tuned setup, they'll save our little butt every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, what kind of bow do you shoot?
PSE.
PSE.
Yeah.
I've been
Got
shooting.
two PSEs and two compounds and a recurve all in PSE.
Right on. Nice. I shoot Hoyt. Um, right now for hunting, I'm shooting the RX-9, and then I'm shooting the Concept X 70 pounder for outdoor, and then like I pull about 57 for indoor on a different bow. It's a Concept as well, but they got that shoot through riser on them. I really like that bow. I really like the cam system. I like how it draws. Like how forgiving I've gotten it, and just takes tinkering.
Yeah.
I switched to Easton's this year, and that was probably the best decision I ever made. I just love those arrows. I shoot the 2712s for indoor, and this year I was shooting Super Drive 23s for a while, and then I was like, man, I really want to go back to skinnies because I just feel like I can shoot a skinny out here in Kansas. Um, when I'm practicing, it's always windy, and so you're not second guessing yourself, going, man, was that me? Was that a good shot, or was that wind? Or with the skinnies, they'll just drive right through it. You make a good shot, they're going to drive right through that wind, and there's a lot less drift on them. So I feel like I get away with a lot more and with a skinnier shaft, and that's the same with hunting. I shoot them Axis, and I love them. They're small, they cut through the wind well. And you live out. I think I saw you lived up in Nebraska, so
Yeah.
Kansas and Nebraska. I don't think there's a day that goes by that isn't windy.
For a little while morning, early morning, about your best time to not have wind. But other than that, forget it.
Yeah, all the way up till dark. And as soon as it does, like as soon as the wind breaks, you can't stand to be outside for the skeeters out here.
Yeah.
They're big enough out here on the farm, even with as many birds as we have, that they'll carry a guy away.
Yeah. Need to get more bats. Eat the mosquitoes. But I
Yeah,
know,
Chuck had mentioned a bat box. Have you ever tried one of those?
no, I haven't.
I think I want to try one bat box, because boy, them every once in a while I know I got a bat or two out here because I see them in the street light.
Yeah. They're hanging around where the bugs are. And I know we have bats around here because one day one ended up in our shower,
Wow.
ended up in the house, and I'm like, okay, so I didn't grab with my hands. I got a grabber that I use sometimes, or my wife uses mostly, and I grabbed it. You could hear it go click 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 click. It was trying to locate because they don't see because they're in the dark always. And that's how they locate stuff is clicking. And I
So
put it
you could actually
outside.
hear him clicking.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Oh, how
was as I
cool.
had a hold of him, I could hear him, just basically just clicking. And I've heard of people that are blind using that same thing. They develop the ability to hear that. You hear them going on, and that's kind of what it was doing. And I put it outside, let it go because it's going to eat bugs.
Hmm.
You're not going to turn into a vampire just because you get bit one. You might get, well, I don't know if they have rabies or not, but you never know. So you don't want to get bit by them. So I didn't want to handle it directly. I didn't have my, now if I'd had my welding gloves, I'd have grabbed it with that. It wouldn't be any big deal because they're not going to bite through those welding gloves. They're way too thick. When
They're
you
way
can
too
have,
thick.
uh, you're getting splashed on it and so hot that you're melting metal. Well, when you're welding, it's basically controlled arc flash. For those that let you know what an arc flash is, it's basically a
Yep.
controlled arc flash, and you're melting metal with the heat. And you got these gloves on, and you move stuff. You're right there next to it, and without it, man, you'd burn your hands up. You'd peel
Yeah.
all the skin off. And I just carried it outside, let it go outside, and haven't seen one since. But right now there's plenty of mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
I
strong
welded
rain.
for quite a long time when I was in high school. I ended up sticking welding wire completely through that finger, right at this joint right here.
Oh,
Stuck it right at, like, I pulled it off, and I don't even know what happened, but I It went right through my welding glove, right through my finger, all the way, and it just went right through all the way through the joint. And I ended up having to cut the wire off. And then I went up to the boss. Gosh, I was probably 15 or 16. I said, "What do I do with this?" And he goes, you should probably pull it out." So I snipped the end off and pulled it out with a pair of pliers. And then, oh man, it got all infected and I couldn't bend my finger.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had rodeos coming up. It was rough. But that was about the time I switched hands riding bulls. I rode bulls for quite a few years in high school and college. But then I found a safer sport.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think, when I was in school, we had our welding helmet on, plus the glasses,
Yeah.
plus safety glasses on top of it. And I'm welding, and I can see some sparks coming underneath the helmet. Later on, I looked on the inside of the lens. One of those hot little embers hit the inside of my lens, not the outside, the inside. So it went up underneath the helmet, next to my cheek, missed my cheek, and went through that little bitty hole and got on the inside of my lens.
Yeah. They'll find all the little nicking spots, won't they?
Yeah. And none of them ever hit my face. But that one got up under that perfect arc, whatever it was, and
Yeah, it's well, it's kind of neat though. You can fix a lot of things with it.
yeah, I've
But
done a
yeah,
few welding projects, and they're all on my YouTube channel. I got my YouTube channel is Learn to Fix It Yourself, and I have all kinds of stuff. I got welding stuff, I got car stuff, I got art, a lot of archery stuff up there, a lot of podcasts, a lot of instructional stuff. How to work on your bows and form techniques and just a lot of information out there. And you know, sometimes I don't know how to do it, but I'm learning how to do it myself. you know,
yeah,
and I've
yeah. But a
had
guy can't be afraid to learn.
yeah, and I've had comments that say, why are you doing this? You don't know what you're doing. Well, yeah, neither does anybody else that isn't a mechanic or whatever it is. And this is how I figured it out. I went through all the problems, and I had one, that same video I struggled through, and one of the guys commented, it's like, oh, I got that same problem with my ATV or more or whatever it was I was working on. I forget now, and yeah, I was on the ATV, and he says, I'm going to take it in and have them do that, rebuild the carburetor. Yeah, it's like, I went through all that problem. That's the same problem he was having, and fixed it. And that's one of the things I do with the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group is, if you're having problems with your form, upload it. Take a video on your phone and upload it and say, hey, I'm having trouble, give me some pointers. And we'll look at it and give you pointers. And that's one of the things by being a member of that group advantage. You got access to bow techs and archery instructors, like you or myself that, we've worked on bows. I worked on a lot of the older bows because 20 years ago I had my shop. I closed it in like 2004, and I was a PSE dealer. So that's why I have PSE bows. And
Yeah,
all my kids shoot PSE bows.
yeah. It's So what year were you doing archery like in a shop? What year would that have been?
2001 to 2004 when I had my own shop. And then I worked for 3 or 4 years at Bass Pro and another 5 years at Cabela's in their archery departments. That's, quite
Cabela's in what town?
I was in Council Bluffs, Iowa when I was at Bass Pro, and in La Vista, Nebraska when I was at Cabela's. And that
Okay.
was still about 2015.
Okay.
When I was at Cabela's, um, our store manager would take, all the returns that come into Cabela's. People return them for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just stupid reason. Sometimes it's a valid reason. They'd return them. We would get these boxes that are 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot cube, full of bows that would return, come into our store, and we'd go through them. And last times you might get 3 or 4 different bows, same bow, same model, everything. And one would have one problem, another had another problem. So we'd take all the parts and make one good bow out of it, put it in our used bow rack and sell it. Sell it as a used bow, not as a new one because it's not new. And then we had a bunch of the beginner bows, the kid bows, lots of them come back. Could not fix it. Wasn't worth fixing because we'd have spent more fixing them than what we could just buy a new one for. So we took and where the stabilizer goes, we put a bar in there with a hook on it and put a little hole in there and mounted a sight onto it. So all these just little bitty, basically the riser part of the bow from just above the sight to just below where you hold it is all we cut the rest of it and threw it away because it wasn't worth anything and put sights on them. So you could just pick them up and hold them and look at the sights, instead of having to, okay, what's it look like? In a package, you can't tell, but holding it up, you could tell. And that's what we did with a lot
Oh,
of the
that's a good
bows that come
idea.
back that, didn't have any value in them. Because, at that time, I think you could buy the whole bow for under $200.
Wow.
That was what we was selling them for because they were just the kids' bow. And of course, you got to remember
Oh, okay. Okay.
this was, um, oh, 2015 and 13, around in that area. Um, so it's 10 years ago. And of course, now that same bow would probably run him at 350, but it was the low end kids bow. I forget which model was, but we had a lot of those come in. Now the higher end ones, we'd fix them because they were worth fixing. We had a guy that made strings for us, and we'd put them on, and they were fairly inexpensive. Um, if it was a higher end bow, I did get. I don't remember which model it was, but it was a bear, just in the snow camel. It was just the bow, and those sold for like $900. And working there was the string stop was messed up, and it wouldn't stay in. Needed a new string and something else. I forget what it was. So I managed to get that bow for like $150 or something like that because it had all these problems with it. And I made a new string for it, and I fixed this string, cable stop, and I stuck it in my safe. I haven't done anything with it since.
I'll
But
be darned.
I got a good price, and I've never set up tried to shoot it because I've got the bow I hunt with is a 2001 PSE Carrera, and then I've got the Scorpion, which was the first year. The Scorpion was out for 2 years. I got the first years, and that was in 2002 or three, I think. I don't remember which one it was now. And that's one I use when I'm not hunting because my hunting bow is set up to shoot my broadheads. I use the Muzzy three blade 100 grain, and I've got them set up. They do not shoot like field tips. They never will shoot like field tips. But I don't care because that bow only shoots broadheads. And when I'm shooting field tips just for practice, I don't care if it doesn't hit the spot because I know my broadheads do. It's going to miss by, 2, 3 inches over the side and down, I think is, I forget which way it is now. But when I put broadheads in, I have so many blades that are dull. I just put the broadheads in, shoot my broadhead target, to verify everything is still good for the broadheads. And of course, I'm not trying to
All
shoot
right.
them 300 plus feet per second. Fixed blades don't like speed like that.
No, I shoot Grim Reapers. I've had really good luck with the Grim Reaper expandables. Um, that's probably my favorite broadhead. When I started hunting, I was one of the first kids in Kansas when they changed the law to where you could hunt 12. And I think 7 days after my birthday, I shot my first doe, but I shot her with a 4 blade Muzzy and like a 100 grain, maybe it was an 80 grain Muzzy. Is that Matt? I can't remember.
As a kid,
Um,
probably 80 grain.
yeah, and I was shooting an old bow, and I can't tell you. I want to say it was a Mountain Magic. It was an adult bow. But my dad had a guy help him, and they turned it down. I think my brother helped too. Turned it down, and I double lunged that doe at 10 yards out of a tree stand. Back then, dad would take me out, drop me off, and after school, he'd take off work, take me down, drop me off, and then pick me up at dark. And or he'd go and sit in his stand, till dark, and then come get me. But yeah, well, I learned a lot sitting out there in the woods. I didn't play football or much school sports at all. I wanted to hunt. I wanted to shoot my bow. I wanted to shoot my guns. I never did get into much high school sports, and I rodeoed because I didn't have to go to practice every day after school, just work on myself. But uh, that was pretty much my childhood from the time I was 12 till the time I was 18. I hunted, and that was what I did, hunted, and we rodeoed every weekend. So, but I grew up. Oh, see, the first one I ever had was one of them cable. It was a cabled stringed, like a rubber coated cable string bear bow, little kid's bow. You ever
Yeah.
remember seeing those?
Yeah.
And I sold that to my school psychologist kid when I was like in the fourth or fifth grade, and then I switched to that Mountain Magic that my dad had gotten, and he'd special ordered. He said it was going to be his turkey bow, and then all of a sudden I'm shooting it. So, but
You were his turkey, huh?
I guess so. I watched him kill a couple turkeys with it, and then I grew into it and ended up using that to kill my first. Well, I killed a couple deer with that bow, and then my first real bow, I worked all summer long. I can't remember. I was 13 or 14. I worked all summer long mowing lawns, and I went and bought a Martin Rage from a guy named Warren Goth out of Beloit, Kansas. I can still remember that like it was yesterday. I worked so hard for that bow. I mowed yards and did de-nailed boards for my dad, cleaned up shop, did all the chores around the house, that mom needed done. And I worked my little tail off, and I saved my money. And I think I went over there, and I think I gave 800-900 bucks for a Martin Rage, and it was at the time. Uh, I can still remember who the assembly sticker was on that bow. It was assembled by a guy named Rick Spurgeon. And I suppose he worked at Martin at the time, but Warren got me set up, and Warren had shot quite a few 3Ds, and I can remember that was the first time I got my taste of shooting a hinge. It was an old rope hinge, I believe, and popped myself in the face and blew up my bow before I ever even took it home. So Warren had to rebuild it for me that day, and Warren built his own strings. And yeah, because I popped myself in the mouth, knocked something around on it, and ended up like blowing a string up on it right off the get go. And Dad says, "You want one of those releases?" I said, "No, no way." So I ended up buying a True Ball Tornado. Was my first real release that I really liked, and that was an index finger release. And got the Martin Rage back from Warren in about a week, and I shot a lot. And then I think I killed my first buck when I turned 14. This is a nice 4x4, and it's mounted upstairs. Of course, you had to mount your first one, right?
Well, yeah.
You can't say no to that. And I can remember I killed him. I just got. It's a funny story. I that the weekend before, a couple weekends before that, I was at a rodeo, and I can't remember where I was at, but I come down, and I was riding with my right hand holding on the rope that at that time, and I come down. I wore a face mask. I didn't wear a helmet at that time. I never did wear a helmet. I just wore a face mask with a cage on it. And I came down, and as I lost my feet, which means they come up behind me, and I basically face planted on top of his head. And I brought my hand down. Well, it hit me. It hit so hard, it knocked me cuckoo, and it sheared the bolts that held that screen onto that leather mask, uh, the wires on it, and it come right across this backside of my thumb, like right through here, and it tore a bunch of ligaments and stuff in it. And they said, "Well, you get out, you." We went to the doctor, and they said, "Well, you got to have a cast." And I said, "No way, I want to go shoot my bow. I got a deer coming in." And I'd seen all the scrapes and everything around trees before trail cameras or anything. I still
Yeah.
use trail cameras, but I had big scrapes around my tree stand. I was getting excited, and well, the doctor said, "I'll tell you what. You bring your bow in when you come in to see me, and it was like Monday or something. It was a weekend when we called in. He said, bring your bow in, and we'll see if we can see what we can do to get to where you can shoot it." So we brought my bow in. We set my bow in my hand, and so he basically casted my hand to where it was just like this, and I could get my bow to set right in here, and I practiced with it. Well, I set out there and I ended up killing this deer in the middle of a rainstorm. I mean, it was a monsoon. I got done and like in my arm was soggy. I had to go get a cast the next day. Oh, it was stinky, but I got my deer. I got my deer. We had to call a guy with a four-wheeler to come help us get it out because it was you couldn't get in there with a pickup at all because it was so muddy, and we were probably a mile and a half back in there, and it was nasty day. And but I've learned a lot, just sitting in those trees and just adapting. And I guess you learn to adapt and overcome no matter what. If you want to do something, you can do it. You just got to figure out a way to do it. And that
Yeah.
was kind of what we did with that cast. But that's how my first buck went. And my probably my second most well, I got two others that are pretty memorable. My neighbor had called us and said that he had two bucks that were locked up fighting and they'd been fighting in his field for a couple hours. Dad said, "Well, grab the shotguns and we'll go over see if we can unlock them." Well, we got over there and we took our bows too, and we initially were just going to shoot the horns, and get them unlocked. Well, the one of the deer, the younger one of the two, at the time I didn't know which was the younger one or the older one, but as the younger one, he was just kept knocking the big one down, and the big one couldn't hardly stand up. Horrible deal, and Dad's like they're gonna die. I mean they'd been fighting and locked for like 4 hours is what the neighbor had said, and so he's like, you just want to just burn our two tags? I said, sure, let's do it, I guess. So he said, well, you pick the one you want. And I was like, I'm going to shoot the one that's knocking that other one down. So I did. And I shot him. He didn't want to get any closer than probably 15, 20 yards. And so I put the first one down and dad's like, oh, yeah, that's great. Now I get to shoot the one that's laying down and can't get back up. And I said, yeah, sorry about that. So dad put that one down. We ended up getting him. Dad ended up beating me by like 3 points. But
Oh,
we got the horns are locked. If you go to I don't know I don't know whether it's on a YouTube channel or not, but so we ended up shooting that lock set together and we come home and mom says, you guys always been locking horns. It's just par for the course. You bring home two deer that are locked up.
well, that
So we
makes it
got
kind
them
of an
mounted.
interesting story and a cool little video.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to watch. I mean, it was really cool to watch. I mean, that was back before we really had good cell phone cameras. So even if we would have videoed the fight, it wouldn't have been. I mean, boy, if I'd had the phone I have now, it'd been like, oh wow, let's just sit here and video this for another 10 or 15 minutes. But I don't even know that I could have done that because I felt bad because I'd never seen animals putting out that much effort and like they were wore out, and it was sad. But the meat had so much adrenaline running through it. It had a stink and an odor to it when we cleaned them. I mean, it was rancid. So we ended up we only saved a few pieces of that, and it didn't taste right, so we just got rid of it.
Yeah,
But
that's
I had no idea that the adrenaline through them veins like that for that long a period of time could make your meat bad. And I've had multiple people tell me that, oh yeah, that can happen. And well, I learned something new, I guess. But
they were gonna die anyway.
yeah, they were done. I mean, we did them a favor. I mean, that would be a miserable way to go, one of them completely croaks out and then he's dragging the other one around and the coyotes start getting to him. And where I live, you get a deer down and you're not on it in an hour or so, they're already starting on the rear end of that deer. It's insane.
Yeah, the only option you would have had is if you would have got close enough to take a saw and cut off the antlers off the good deer and let it run off because it's going to drop the antlers anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but that's dangerous to get that close to two deer that are fighting because that one that's still up pushing them around is going to keep moving around and you might get gored by one of them and it's not worth you getting hurt, to try and possibly save one deer.
I've seen guys with that's what we were gonna do. We've seen guys, take the shotgun with like some big buckshot pellets and like shoot right over the top of their head and break those horns just enough to get them loose. But then you risk hurting the deer and stuff too. And it's like, man, I think this is just the better option,
Yeah.
is what we did. And we got a cool story to tell. And I got them mounted up in the living room, and it's a neat story, that I'll have with me and Dad for as long as I'm around, and it's pretty neat. And the other one that's really memorable to me is back in, I think, when my mom passed away here a couple years back. Um, I'd been I took the last month of her life off, and between my mom, my sister, and or my wife, my sister, and my dad and me, we took care of my mom, and that was that was my getaway. I'd help them out in the morning, do what they needed done, and then I would take off in the afternoon and I would go chase this muley that I'd found. And that was whenever I got home, Mom's like, "Did you get him? Did you get him today?" No, no, he outsmarted me again. And it was my first time ever really hunting muleys, and they don't really have a set pattern. They just kind
Oh,
of you just figure out what they're gonna do for that night or that evening, and then try to get ahead of them is the best thing I'd figured out. Get ahead of them, and then I ran a decoy. Evan Williams, he works out there at Hoyt. He suggested getting a couple of them decoys, that go on your bow, and so I did that. And finally, after about 2.5 weeks of hunting this deer, um, I mom passed away at 12:07, and the next day at 5:30 in the afternoon, she got me the opportunity that I needed to get him. See, I got in on him. I left that after that Sunday afternoon, and I got over and got ahead of them where I thought they were going to come out, and they did. And then about the time I had 14 muley does jump over the fence, and I'd snuck in along this fence line, and I watched all 14 of them jump, and I knew the big one was coming out. And about that time, I seen him stick his nose over the fence, and the wind was on the back of my neck, and it switched about that quick. All them deer took off, and I'm like, oh man. Well, they wanted to go to green wheat that night, so I knew they were going to go catty corner across the section to get to the other green wheat, because I'd figured out either they were going to be in the wheat or the grass, and that night they were after the green wheat. So I just took a judgment call of let's see, as I'm moping my way back to the pickup, losing faith, I'm not going to get him again today. And all of a sudden, a thought my mom popped into my head is, don't give up on them. You got light left. Figure them out. What are they going to do? So I ran across the section to get back to the truck, hopped in, drove over to the other wheat where I thought maybe they'd go. And I no more than got there, and I start seeing the does. They'd beat me there by the time I got back. And so I just left the truck running, and I was running a big lifted Dodge, so I just got out the passenger side, crawled down into the ditch, and belly crawled about 150 yards, and then up into the field, and uh, popped up my decoy on that bow, and here he come, and he got about 30, 36, 38 yards from me, and turned broadside and followed a doe back around, and he was quartering. And so his mind was not even on he was coming to my decoy, but that hot doe went by him and drug him and turned him. And so I just made a good corner and shot at like 36 yards on him. And he went about 20 yards and got all queasy legged and just fell down right there. And I was able to drag him back to the pickup. Wasn't that bad a drag. So, but I did have to call for help to get that one loaded. I couldn't get him in the back of that lifted Dodge. And it's a great idea to lift your pickup, let me tell you, until you want to put a deer in it by yourself.
yeah.
35-inch tall tires with 6 inches of lift. It wasn't a real great idea. So I called a friend there in town. He's a big old 6-footed fella. Come out there and made fun of me because I couldn't get my own deer in a pickup. Like, well, I ain't near as tall and as strong as you. My daddy didn't give me no legs or big muscles, so
Yeah. Well, and you didn't put one of those lifts into that. I've seen some of those lifts that you kind of pull it out and you tie it around it. You can lift it into the back of the truck, move it over, and but you kind of take up part of your truck to do that.
Yeah, now I figured out a way that I can do it. I'll just take a if I'm going out by myself, so especially if I'm gonna be a long ways from anybody else, I'll take a like a 2x6 or a couple 2x6s, like two of them,
Yeah,
and then you put like uh I got like a ratchet strap that I can hook a pulley on, and then you can like pull and like guide them up that 2x6 into the back of your truck when you're, instead of trying to, because you got to pull them by yourself. Well, the body cavity, especially when you get to the rib cage, always catches on the tailgate when you're trying to pull them up by yourself,
yeah,
or you're trying to get the horns up there. Well, then the legs catch, and it's like, and then you start pulling the tailgate and everything up, and it's a hassle. So I tried to get a little bit smarter and watch some YouTube videos on how the guys do that by themselves and figured that out. So I generally try to carry a pulley and a ratchet strap and a rope with me when I go now because a lot of times I don't have cell signal where I hunt. So
yeah. If you want to sell it, and I got to figure out how to do it yourself, and rigging up a pulley system, it works pretty nice. You can always use those little hooks that they have in there and string a cable across there and have a regular pulley. And if you get enough loops in there, you can pull a lot of weight. Take you a
yeah,
while.
and not strain your back and
Yeah.
everything else. So and then I got it set up to where we got an electric winch and I just back into the shop, pull it up with the electric winch with a gabiel on it, and uh go to doing all that. We used to do all of our own meat ourselves. I just basically do the gutting and stuff myself, and then I take them over to a guy named Phil Breeze here in town. He's a real good price guy, and he'll box it up, package up your burger and everything else. So, and if I get done cutting on my steaks and stuff, they don't look like steaks. I might as well just ground the whole thing.
Yeah, it takes a while to
Yeah,
kind
I
of figure
suppose
out
I
how to
get too
cut
I
stuff
got I
on.
suppose I get too impatient. But but my little girls, they like to help dad clean the deer, do the gutting part of it. They'll hold the leg, and this year my 9-year old, she's like, I wanna help more, Dad. Think I can do some cutting? I guess. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
So but she shot her first deer at 6 with a crossbow. And then she decided she's going to play the selective game for the last 2, 3 years. This will be her third year. She wanted to get a buck, and she wanted a specific buck that's on a property that we have permission on. And she's been patient, waiting for him. And just we had an opportunity last year, in the wind switched on us as well, and kind of botched it. Boy, she learned, you gotta have patience. Just as it's not called killing, it's hunting. It's not about the you know the killing of the animal. It's about providing for your family and sharing that with your neighbors, and that's what we enjoy. So getting to spend time with my kids, um, teaching them, showing them what's out there in the woods, because there's lots of neat things that they can learn. And
Oh
it
yeah.
I think it prepares them for life, because a lot of times in life, it doesn't just roll out on a silver platter. You got to put in the work to receive the reward. That's for sure. And I think that's the way the good Lord designed the whole place. If you put in the work, you'll eventually reap the reward.
Yeah. So many kids, and adults even, it's like, okay, I want it now. I don't want to put the work in. Um, no matter what it is, whether it's a sports or anything, they
Yeah,
want it now, and they don't want to wait for it, and get impatient or think they're entitled to it. And you know, you're not entitled to anything. You have to get the work in order to get what you want. And
yeah. And that's what we're trying to teach our kids. I mean, my wife decided we are going to homeschool all of them this year. We homeschooled our 9-year-old last year, and it went really good. And all my kids are smart as a whip. My 3-year-old, she can count to like, I'm not kidding, she can count to like 40. And if she could say her ABC, she can spell her name. And it's because she's got the two older sisters that are guiding her, and mom's teaching her stuff now too. And it's like they catch on like that.
yeah, they want to learn.
If they want to. And if you get something that piques their interest, it doesn't matter what kid it is. If you can pique their interest, you've got them. But you've got to find something that piques their interest. Make it fun, make it interesting, make it a
Yeah.
learning thing. It's just like starting them out little, shooting 22s and shooting bows, and they see dad doing all that stuff, and they want to do it. Well, I want to learn that. So I've had a bow in all my kids' hands. I started them at 3, and I bought the gosh, who makes it? Maybe it's a Cartel. It was like a little desktop bow. It's like really small, and it's a little thing that you'd shoot in an office at a cardboard box. But it's a metal riser with little metal limbs, and it looks like a mini compound. And when they're 3 years old, that's the cat's meow for them.
Right.
Um, and just you can hold the riser right below their hand where they can pull that back. It's like 8 pounds, maybe if that, and they can pull that back and just watch the arrow launch. And that's what they want to see. It don't matter where it hits. They're a little kid. You can pique his interest in archery by getting them to where they can watch that bright colored fletching fly through the air and stick in something. They don't care what it sticks in. They just want to watch it fly through the air and stick in something.
Yeah.
But you just put up a big target there, like I do in the shop. And don't matter. I got a paper target that looks like a deer, or I got big circle, and you just start them out with a real big circle or a real big deer and real close, and they just love it. And then you've got them hooked. So I'm hoping I got some little hunting buddies for life out of them 3 little girls.
Yeah.
But that's that's kind of how Dad hooked me. Just started me out young, and we walked into the sporting goods store, and I got my first bow, and he told me, he said, you can't have this bow, and we're not going to get this bow until you can draw it. So every time we went to Salina, Kansas, it was 120 miles from where we live now. And because I'm living on the home place, and so it was a 120-mile trip. Every time we'd stop there in Downs, Kansas, old Miles Meyer Sporting Goods, see Joey and Joey Coops, and we'd go in and see if we could pull that bow. Maybe get a jerky or a soda, Mountain Dew. Really good for me, I know.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 years old, you go in there and you go pull that red bow back. You almost get there. Nope, they wouldn't help me. They wasn't giving me that bow until I could draw it. But it was when I think I finally drew it, and then Dad's like, "No, can't get it right now," and ended up showing up for Christmas. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Walked
See
out
there
there,
now.
boy. What a shocker these days, But that was awesome. That was how that went. But my girls, I think I got them bows. I think I got them all bows for Christmas. But I waited until they were 3, and that's when we started. And then, oh, yep, Dad, I want to go shoot my bow. Dad, I want to go shoot my bow. So you got to just kind of take time and go do it. And because when they're ready to go, they want to do it now. And at 3 and 4 years old, their attention span's not that long. They're going to go out and shoot for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm done. I'm ready to go do something else. Go ride my bike. And that's all you need. And then when they ask to go do it again, you go do it. And then pretty
Right.
soon you're like my 9-year-old, and she loves to shoot. Her and I went and shot a tournament this weekend down at Glen Elder. Um, Pro tip: make sure you set your sight to the proper yardage when you're shooting a 58-yard deer. Don't set it for 5 yards under. It doesn't work very good.
Yeah.
My daughter looked, Dad. I was like, yeah, that should be a 12. But daughter's like, Dad, you shot right under the deer, and I'm like, looked at my sight. Yep, yep, I did. God, it was so windy, I couldn't hear it hit foam. But she informed me that I shot. Dad, that would have been a 12. If you would have been at the right height, that was perfect. I was watching. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They like to do that, don't
don't
they?
know whether it would have been a 12 or not, but we have a lot of fun. She did really good. I took her to another good shoot you can take your kids to is the Reinhardt shoot. That's a really fun one there. Um, got all them big dinosaurs and just exotic animals to shoot for the kids. They just love that. I mean, how many times in your life you get to shoot a T-Rex? I mean,
Yeah.
a velociraptor, Stegosaurus, and oh, they got that weird one with the big bulb on its head. They like that one too. And the lions and the zebras and the life-size giraffe. That was probably Tylee's favorite, was the life-size giraffe. If it wasn't that, it was the T-Rex. But
You know, when I was
she's
doing it
she's
all the time, they had just the standard, and they didn't have all the exotics, and it was the deer and the pigs and the javelina and the turkeys, and just that's kind of basically all it was there. Sometimes you'd have um, a little bit bigger animal, but they didn't have all the giraffes and stuff like that. And then, therefore, then they started getting in like the gators and um, stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of fun when you get all those different animals in there. They're not cheap, so
no. You
but
might as
they're
well take
that big. You
advantage
have
of them
long
because to own a
shots.
range, yeah, to own a range like that, it's going to take some coins.
Yeah, but it's
Blue
all worth
collar
it.
guy like myself, I'm probably not going to be spending money on that. If I spend some money, it's going to be to buy ASA targets so I can learn them more.
Yeah,
So,
I know when my
I
kids
mean,
started out, they started out with a 5 pound compound bow, and it's gonna go through 3 kids. I had two of them, and by the time we got done, they're just throwaways because they were just so worn out. They wouldn't shoot anything because they'd shoot and shoot and shoot. And my youngest, when he
yeah,
was in Cub Scouts, when I had the store, he'd come in and he would shoot for hours. He'd be back there. It'd be 4 or 5 hours. He'd back there shooting. He had like a dozen, two dozen arrows or something, and he'd shoot all of them and go pull them and then go shoot them all. And just over there by himself. He's like 5 or 6. Cub Scouts. I think those are like 5 and 6 year olds, and he'd just go back there and shoot. And his Cub Scout pack come in one time and we shot in the range, and he'd been shooting all day long. Come out and shoot some more, and
yeah, it's a joy. So I don't know. I don't remember if I asked you this or not, but do you shoot indoor archery? But did you ever shoot indoor archery much?
I did a few times for target. Um, I do 3D indoor more. Um, I'm not. I don't really care that much for the target archery. It isn't what I'm really interested in. I'm more of the 3D and indoor and outdoor because it's more like hunting. And
Yeah,
I practice. I shoot spots all the time because that's how you develop your skill to put the arrow in the X. So my challenge was, when I set up my broadheads, I want to be able to hit X's with them, and
yeah,
I want to be able to do it, and that's what I use the spots for, is to get a better at executing the shot, so I know it's there. Now then, the 3Ds I use because we always had just unknown yardages. We never had any known yardages, so you got to judge yardage. So you get better at judging yardage. So if something comes up, you can judge the distance to it. Now the hard part is like if you're into a field. Well, I had kind of a cheat with me. I had a rope that was 10 feet long, or yeah, 30 feet long. I forget what it was. But anyway, I could tie it to the bottom peg and go out. Okay, there's 10 yards. Out again, there's 20 yards. There's, 30 yards. So then I could put flags out. And that's how I did start within fields because I couldn't judge them in fields. And, now with rangefinders, you just, okay, that spot's there. You put marker out there, put a, little flag, those little flagging tapes out there, and it's okay, that's where it's at. And then you also learn how to step off your yardage. And the way you count your steps is every time my right foot would hit the ground, I'd count one. Being a military, I always start walking with my left leg. So left leg, right leg, one, and then two and three. And I know 11 and a half steps is 20 yards. I've stepped it off hundreds of times. Now, if you got terrain that you got to walk over, it kind of changes a little bit. But I know that if I want to step it off, if I want 20 yards, I know it's going to be 11 and a half steps, and then 23 steps is, 40 yards. So I learned how to do that. And I learned that in college when I was taking a backpacking and orientation class. And they taught us like don't count every step because now going one, two, three. It's just too much counting and it's easy to forget. But if you do every other foot, it's less numbers and it's just as accurate. And then when you step it off enough times, you're going to know that that's your stride takes me 11 and a half steps, which means I step 11 times right and one more with my left, and that's 20 yards. Step it again, and I've stepped it off many times, and it's always been really accurate. And now at the rangefinder, I can step it off and range it. Yep, within a yard or two, and if you're shooting at 20 yards, a 20-yard pin, 1 yard's not going to make a difference unless you're shooting like a 20-pound bow, a 30
Yeah.
pound bow. Yeah, because there's so much arc in there. Your pins are so far apart anyway. But when you're shooting
Yeah.
70 pounds, yeah, there's not a lot of gap between your 20 and 60-yard pin.
No, there's not. No, I'm shooting that with that new RX-9. It's 87 some pounds, and that thing is just it's quick. I don't know what actual feet per second is on it, but I know it's pretty flat. But I do a lot of practicing at 100, 120 all the time. Just not because I'm going to shoot a deer that far, but just when you do get an opportunity at something big, it makes a 60-yard shot cake because mentally you're sitting there. It makes that animal look so much closer. You know, when you practice at 120 all the time on a 3D target, and then you walk up to 60, it to me it helps mentally, and it
Right.
prepares your brain for what you're seeing. Um, Most of my shots, though, um, in the woods when I'm trying to hunt whitetail, they're going to be 20 yards, 30 yards at the max because
Yeah.
you just can't see that far. I mean, especially when you get around dusk, unless you go in there and like completely trim out lanes, but I don't like to disrupt that much stuff. I just like to leave it kind of the way it is. I go in with a saddle and that's what I do anymore. I just go in with a saddle and put my sticks on a tree and go up and sit in a tree. And then I don't like where I'm sitting at the next night. I can change it up. But I really enjoy the freedom of a saddle. I sold all my tree stands and bought a really, really, really nice tethered. I love that. I think it's a lockdown. Absolutely love it. I bought the one sticks set up. I got three of them with aiders that I made out of can't even mule tape, like what they drag cable through the underground pipes with. It's
Yeah.
like 1,250 pound brake strength, and I made aiders out of those, and I took fuel line. I think it's 3/8 fuel line, and just put over that mule tape, so it kind of keeps that uniform there at the bottom, so your foot can, set in it, and because otherwise I tried it without it, and that did not work very good because you couldn't always find the feet at night. So you'd be climbing out of the stand and you had to reach down and try and it was a finagle job is what it was. So when I put those fuel lines on there, boy, it made a great difference. But I can get up the nosebleed section with three sticks, and if I need to, I can one stick it another rung up and be really high. But most of the time, I don't need to because like, you get too high when you're down in the trees like that, then it really limits your shot capability. Seems like for me.
And when they come
So,
in at that 10 yards, if you're up very high, then it's almost a straight down shot, and that's
hmm
not a good angle to be at. And that's why I try to set up
yeah,
for 20-yard shots, but very seldom do they go out at 20, you always come in closer.
yeah, they always come up, and it's cool. Shoot them. I don't know. That's a fun archery to me. Is how close can I get? I mean, yeah, it's cool to be able to shoot 60, 70 yards, but how much cooler is it to shoot a deer at 5 yards or 4 yards or 7 steps? I've
Yeah.
killed one of my bucks at 7 steps. I was sitting in a ghillie suit in a cedar tree and whacked that one. He had no clue I was even there. I just kind of had to. I kind of had to guess as to where I was gonna put the arrow. So I ended up looking down the arrow and just I'd done it before, just playing around, and I kind of knew where I needed to hold. But I mean, he was pretty much right on top of me. I don't even know how this day I got lucky enough to get drawed on him, but I did. And he went about 50 yards and died in a little ravine, and that was a fun one to get out.
Yeah.
But but it was like right behind my house, so it's right out my back door. But I haven't seen any good deer around in my section for many, many years now. It seems like I don't know. We got I don't know whether it's EHD or what it is, but it seems like our population of deer is not as good as what it was. Um, I mean, some places it is, but right here around the house for some reason, I'm just not seeing a deer that I normally do. I do have a mama and two little ones that I watch in the mornings. They'll be out feeding in the backyard, and then I got a one mama with a single, and she'll be hanging around too. She's usually on the other side. Well, the twins, they're one on one side of the creek and one's always on the other. It seems like I don't ever see them together, which is weird, but it's pretty neat to watch those. I caught a video of one of them, one of the mamas the other day. She had a deer come up and, or not a deer, she had a bird come up and was cleaning stuff off of her head. She was just standing there letting this little sparrow or whatever it was just buzz around her head and get stuff off. The bird was touching its head and everything. And I don't know what it was doing, whether it was picking ticks or what it was doing, but I was watching that through binoculars and video on it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably getting ticks or bugs or something off of it, and it probably knew it was trying to help it. And
It's pretty neat how God has designed nature to work that way. They all work together, and it's really neat to watch.
yeah, I had one time, I had this one doe come through with a fawn where I was sitting down there, and next thing I know, the fawn bedded down 10 yards from my tree stand, and the doe walks off, leaves the fawn bedded down there, and I'm just there watching it, and not a thought of shooting it. It's pretty
Yeah.
young, and I've shot enough. I'm not shooting a fawn knowingly. I'm just gonna let him go. And basically, I decided that doe is off limits for me anyway, because I wanted to help raise the fawn. Now, if another doe come in without a fawn, that would be okay. But after a while, the doe come back. Next thing the two got walking off. It's like here, take a break. I'm gonna go make sure it's clear and come back and pick the fawn up and went. It's like that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I probably start training for indoor. Um, Probably next month. I'll start shooting in the shop more. 'Cause I don't know. I really want to I made the shoot off last year in Vegas. Um, and I'd really like to try and make the shoot off again this year. See where I can get to.
Yeah. Now, before we get
But
started, you was talking about your YouTube channel.
yeah, yeah,
Tell me about that. What's the name of the channel?
it's called X Factor Outdoors. That's my outdoors channel, and then there's my business channel for my land clearing company is RTK Land Management.
Okay.
Um, X Factor Outdoors has like a Vegas face with the word X Factor over the top of it. Looks like a three spot. And there's videos on there. There's archery videos on there. There's shooting air gun videos on there. Um, I do a lot of laser engraving, like bow risers and different things. So I put a lot of videos on there for that, but I do a lot of shorts. I don't do a lot of long videos. I feel I have more fun making the shorts and getting little short
Yeah.
2 minute videos out.
So it's X Factor Outdoors,
Yep.
and I got one and it's got a green X on it.
No, that's not me.
Okay, that's not
Nope.
you. Okay. So
Nope. Nope. Mine's the Vegas 3 spot.
okay, let me
Scroll down a little bit more.
oops.
Let me turn on the computer.
Don't just type in X Factor because you get all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I don't know. I never really just typed in X Factor. because there when my channel before it had any subscribers, like you couldn't find me at all.
Okay, there it is. X Factor Outdoors. It just says X Factor Outdoors, 300 subscribers,
Yep,
three,
yep,
three,
that's me.
um, three targets. Okay. And it's got a big picture of um, looks like an airsoft gun with a big old silencer on it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a air rifle. Yep,
Okay. And the other one was, what was it? RT Landman.
RTK land management.
And that one
And
has like a big high rise, says RT Land
hold
Management
on,
Experts.
let me go to YouTube because that one's really not very. I think I got 12 subscribers on that one. I just started it. I had a bunch of people that wanted me to start posting videos of doing what I do with my big skid steer and how I make my living. We also do we 3D print and laser engrave and let's see if I can find this RTK
Yeah, and then you can
land.
post it in the chat and then I'll bring it, make sure I get the right one.
Yeah, land management. Manage. Yeah. All right. So it'll have a big yellow skid steer with a red roof on it.
Big yellow, I got with a red roof.
Yep. It's a cat. It says cat right on the side of it. It's this picture. It's like a cat skid steer with a mulcher on the front.
Oh yeah, okay. Cat 299D3.
Yep, that's me. Yep, that's me.
All right, there we go. Make sure you get the right one. You're clearing some
Yeah.
brush out and
Oh yeah, I do all sorts of stuff. I do power line maintenance, pasture clearing, uh, tree technical tree removal, deer plots. I do all sorts of stuff.
is that one's yours there, right?
Uh, no, that's not me.
Okay, that one's not you. But let's just get into this one. We'll.
Oh, you RTK. You've got RT land
Oh,
management.
okay. So let me.
Yeah, that's my outdoors channel right there. Yep.
All right.
And then the land management, I don't know that I've shared anything into my outdoor. Yeah, how do I don't know how you're doing what you're doing there.
Well, I get when I click on the button for more, I've got a link to YouTube. Um,
Okay.
so let me look here.
Yeah, I just enjoy making content, all sorts of content. Heck, my daughter got more views than I did on one of her videos. She's got more views than I've ever had on a video. It was like 30 some thousand views in like 28 hours. But she was shooting 500 yards with a 300 Winchester short mag and just draining it. I couldn't believe it. I had to take a short of it, watching her do that. The little kids, man, they don't even think about it. They just pull up. Oh yeah, I'll just put the X on it. Bam, there it
Yeah.
is. I'll be danged. They're so innocent. They don't think about missing. They just pull up and do the thing. Yeah, did you end up finding that?
Um, I haven't found it yet. We'll make sure we get a link when we find it into the description so you can make it easier to find.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find it. RTK land management. View channel. Now, how do I save my screen?
Okay, if you go up in the toolbar up here and copy, which is Control C, and then go into the chat on the um, Zoom call, and then just paste it.
Okay. Okay. Share. Copy link.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Now what do I do? Where'd the
Well,
Zoom call go? Uh-oh.
yeah, you might have to move around to find it.
Okay. Meeting in progress. There. Okay, there's that.
Down at the bottom, there should be a chat function. Just click on the chat, and it'll bring up a list on the side, and this is message to everyone. Just do a paste into there, and
Chat.
then I can bring it up.
Paste.
There it is.
Try that.
There we go.
Yep, that's me.
Okay, yeah, there's the other one, and 12 subscriber, 24 videos is all you have right now. But you
Yep, I just started that one.
yeah,
Yep, I just started that one.
you get decent views on them. Some of
Yeah.
them. Don't worry about what you say. Just do it, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and those are
Yeah, I just
those are short, so they're what about 3 minutes long or something?
yeah, some of them are, yeah. I just enjoy making the videos. It's fun. I don't know what it is about making content, but I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. You going over um, something that you're doing here. It's the fun and something you enjoy doing, and it's kind of interesting. I haven't watched any of those yet, but I'll watch some and see and then on your outdoor
Yeah,
channel.
you got any tips, just tell me. Because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
still
well,
learning.
yeah, there's quite a few out there. So, um, one of the things I use Opus Clips on the long form, and you
Yeah,
upload them, and then you click and it separates them into little short videos like this one here. The podcast I just did, um,
yeah,
it split them out into 40 different clips, up to 3 minutes long. Anything longer than that, and then all to do to post them, click on here and then publish on social media sites, and then these are the ones I have set up. I got X and um, whatever that is, I forget, and then my YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and then to publish them, I just check which one I want to do. Go over here, select the date and the time, and then click publish. Now I've already done that, so I don't want to do these again. Um, but that's how easy it is to create all these shorts. And now you
cool.
can let them
That's a
go
good
with a
idea.
full length video. Just if you're out there doing it, something to learn something, just let the video run the whole time, and then send it to one of these and split it. Now the free version gives you like 40 credits, so you won't be able to do one this big because this one, about 150, 200 credits it takes to put one of these long form videos out. But it's 3,600 credits is like $120 or something like that. So that's something that works pretty nice, and it creates the shorts for you. And that's what I
Okay.
do on all of them. And that way I create the long one, and I do it for all my YouTube channel as well. If I go out to my YouTube channel, um, go to my channel, and that's where all these come in. One thing archers need to pay attention to is your safety harness. And I have a whole great big long
Yeah.
video, just talking to the guys that run the tree stand safety. I talked to them last year for about an hour. at the Missouri Valley Outdoor Expo, which is what Nebraska Game Park puts on. It's up by um, Ponca Hills, which is up by Sioux City, right there at the corner
Yeah.
between South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. Um, and we talked all kinds of things. And I have all kinds of different things out here. I've got stuff for cars, stuff for fix and repair. I got a whole bunch of stuff on archery, and of course, I have the this one up first, the tree stand safety stuff on gardening. I got stuff on freeze drying, which earlier you said you just got yourself a freeze dryer. And then
Yeah.
some problems I run into with it, and that's what these are. Um, they're not the best as far as quality on their stuff. I got a camera I'm testing out for doing my videos, and then sometimes you get videos that go a long time, like this one here, how to replace carburetor on a Kohler 7000 series. I'm getting 3 views an hour. I got 44,000 views, and it's been up for 2 years. And then this one here is making stevia powder, which substitutes sugar. And, that's 3 years ago, and 1 view an hour on that one for 32,000 views. So I've got some videos that have got a lot of views. Um, you never know what they're going to look at. I get this one 25,000 views on how to install an outlet in a safe.
Huh. That's
And that was
awesome.
very good quality because I had my camera on a tripod, which is my phone, and I'm trying to show what's going on, but my shoulder and my head's in the way, blocking most of the view. And I still get a lot of views.
Yeah.
So you never know. Um, anybody's interested, I'd be glad to help them get started with what they're doing and, you know, kind of get away from archery. But, I do my podcast and I split them out, you know, a podcast that runs an hour and a half. It'd probably take me 2 days to get it out posted from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. And I post every one of the shorts to all the social medias every half hour. And, I get like 100 and some shorts go out all over the different social medias a day. And, it's kind of fun doing that.
Yeah.
But, like I said, you never know. Like this one right here, Destroying Pigeons. You get 3,300 views. Yeah, just on
Yeah.
one, just shooting pigeons.
Yep. I do a lot of pigeon removal. Stinky birds.
Oh yeah.
But
I had
but they're fun. They're fun. I've got a couple of them on there. I'm shooting prairie dogs at almost 200 yards with an arrow rifle, and it drops them. It's pretty cool. I think that one on there was a 198-yard kill. And I was fighting the wind and mirage and everything else, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. So I've got some ideas for some pretty cool shorts I'm going to do with my new Hoyt bow. I like shooting, doing goofy stuff and stuff with my bow, but I got a couple ideas I really want to try with it. But we finally starting to get some rain, so it's probably going to be playing with a little bit of fire. So I definitely needed a rain before I try to do a few trick shots like that.
yeah.
But just for fun.
Well, and I
So
had a friend of mine in the barn. Um, he had horses his daughter rode, and they'd go and remove the pigeons, and he'd go to like Walmart and buy the cheapest arrows he can get. Because they're going to get one shot out of them. And because they didn't want to
yeah,
put holes in the roof, he'd wait for them to be on the steel beam and he'd shoot them off the beam. You shoot a gun in there and you're going to put holes in the roof, and they didn't want to do that. So he'd shoot them on the beam, and most likely the arrow was destroyed when he did that. He's shooting them with a bow inside the barn.
yeah.
Not
I've
going to bother
got
the
I've got a
horses.
no, I got a special air rifle that I use for interior. I can dial down the power. It's an FX Impact M3, and I got set up for 22 pellets. Um, and basically, I can dial down the power, and it's not going to blow through 10 on a building, but it's enough at 10 yards to poke a hole in a pigeon or a sparrow, and they're to be honest with you, at 50 yards and under, I'll guarantee you they're more accurate than an air or than a powder burner ever was. Um, they regulate the air so well. And they're wicked fun. Like seriously, my 30 cal, when I'm done shooting a 50-yard group, I can shoot 5 shots at 50 yards and it'll just be a wallered out hole. Just it's awesome. And I would have never thought, in a million years until I got into it that they were that accurate. Um, I always grew up with like a Crossman Pumpmaster 760 or
Yeah.
whatever it was, just shooting a BB, and you're lucky to hit a pop can at 30 yards consistently with that thing. But these FX air guns that I'm shooting now, 100 yards all day long. I mean, I've got coyote kills at over 100 with it, coon kills at a buck 80. But I'm also, when I set them up for it, I can shoot a 70 grain slug, not a pellet, a 70 grain slug out of a 30 cal barrel at 895 is about what I like to run them. I got my best groups with that, but they're stupid accurate. It kind of takes the fun out of it. You just range it and you got a dope chart just like you would anything else, and you just
Yeah.
dial into the scope, pull the trigger, it's going down. So I really enjoy that. I got me and my buddy, we've each got a couple of them, and we have a lot of fun with them. And they're fun. They're kid friendly, wife friendly. I mean, they love to shoot them. There's no recoil. It's not loud. So,
Yeah.
but you can sure disintegrate some pop cans full of water pretty easy too. Kids like watching that. So, but
Especially you
yeah.
put some food coloring in it, so it's different colors.
Oh yeah, there you go. Put some tie dye in there. It'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I appreciate you having me on here. Had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We talked about all kinds of different stuff. And yeah, I'll put a link to your two YouTube channels in there and make it easier for them to find, because it's not always easy. Like I was typing RT instead of RTK, and it's just easier if I just put a link in there. Once we found them, when I process the video, I'll put links in there and
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
and
Appreciate you having me on here.
yeah,
It's
and
always fun to talk to another archer.
oh yeah,
Kind of went down some rabbit holes, but we had a good time.
well, yeah. That's the thing, is they each one is different. We start with archery. Like I start them all, introduce them, tell something about myself, and then sometimes I don't have to say a word the whole time basically, because carrying on, just a little bit here and there, and other times I talk a little bit more, and it's just so much fun. And those, if
It
you're
is.
listening this far, I really appreciate it. And always comment. And the biggest thing to remember is if you have a question about your shooting form or about your bow, take a video of what you've got on your phone, upload it to the group, and say, hey,
Mhm.
this is the problem I'm having. What do you think? And I can go in my video editor because I don't edit the podcasts. I only did it one time because I mistakenly hit the stop and had to restart the video or the recording, but I had to merge them together. But all the videos I create on YouTube, those are all edited. Everyone's edited in some form or another. Um, and I've got editing software. I use DaVinci Resolve, and
Okay.
it's got all the things. You see some of your movies. And I can say, okay, yeah, they're using DaVinci because some of the features they have, I got the same features. I can do all the same stuff, and I'm still using the free version. I still haven't really run into a limitation on what I can do. There's a couple things I
Okay.
wanted to do, but it's only for the paid version. But it's a one-time fee. I think
Yeah.
it's like $300 for one time, and I pay them, and I just haven't done it yet. I've been going to, but I haven't done it yet because I got all kinds of stuff that I can do for free on it.
Yeah, there's more stuff on the most more stuff on these editing programs than a guy even needs. But I use most of the time I either use Power Director or if I'm on the computer, I'll use Adobe. But I've got so many programs that I have to purchase per year for the laser engraving business, and then my 3D printing. I've got CAD programs. Um, my wife, we do laser engraving, 3D printing. We got a we do direct to garment printing on shirts. So you can basically take a picture of an animal and stick it on a shirt and make it look like 4K. It's pretty neat deal. But I'm going to tell you, computer programs get expensive, and some of them are very complicated. You really got to put the time in and tear them down and figure them out. But I know what you're saying. But a one-time fee at $300. I wish I would have known that program existed before I started buying Adobe. But now I've learned to use it, and it's like I don't want to get away from it because I don't want to learn another one.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of a learning curve in it. I started out trying to look because, I didn't have a whole lot of extra throwaway money to be buying all these programs. And every time you turn around, it's like, well, here's this, you got to buy this, got to buy this. And, especially when AI started coming out and it's like, well, you need this to do this, you need this to do this. Like, I can't spend another $100 a month for all these programs. And when I want to start editing software, to put them up on YouTube, it was about 4 years ago. And it's like, well, okay, this one's free. Okay, let me try that. Well, that one was a pain. It didn't do much, and it just wasn't there. And I found another one, and finally, I just said on Google, and I says, okay, what free programs out there are good for editing? And it come along, oh, DaVinci Resolve, and that's been probably 6 versions ago. And so I downloaded it, the free version, and it's like, okay, this has got a lot of stuff. So my videos all started out basically just editing and strip them together. And then there's a transition. I can fade them in, and I can have them all kinds of different options for fading them in. And then I'm learning more stuff. I can take a block and I can play a feature to that whole block. I can cut it out, or I can do multiple videos. I can put one video on and then I put a second one. I can move it to a different track and I can mute the sound on the second one. And when it plays there, and you can take one video and you can shrink it down, size it down so it's only like half the screen. And I started learning how to do that, and all kinds of different transitions. And I say that I can use it for looking at shooting videos. When somebody
Yeah.
sends video, take a look at my form. I can actually go through frame advance, one
Hmm.
frame at a time, and I can see, okay, they started pulling his trigger before he went, or he did this, or they did something else, and I can see, okay, here's what I like about what you're doing. Here's what I think you can change, and you can't do that. When I first started, they had VCR tapes. That's how we recorded a shooting. It was on a VCR
Hmm.
tape, and because you can't VCR tape everything, and it's some that's kind of grainy and you can't really do much with them. I did have a VCR player that I could frame advance through it once in a while, but you don't have those anymore. But then most of them was just, I'm going to watch you shoot and I'm going to look at this one thing and see what you're doing. You got to shoot again and watch this one thing, shoot again, and until I finally catch all the things. And now with now with the way you do it, you just record it and I can play it back multiple times and loop it through there and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's
That's cool.
yeah. And that's because I can go individual. If I just hit the arrow key, I'm going to go one frame at a time. And when I'm looking like to cut a piece out, there's sections when I do a video, I just let it run. It's like, okay, from here I don't need anything because I went off to go get something else. And so maybe I got 10 minutes. I'm doing nothing because I'm not even on screen because I went to get another part or get something else. And sometimes I'll stop them and restart them, and I can just cut this section out, or if it's something I just don't want to show, or um, somebody says something that I don't want recorded because it don't fit in my scheme of language we need to use.
No, I
And
get
so
that.
I'll either cut that whole section out, or I'll just take that word and cut before and after it, and I'll just take, and either I can move it to another channel, mute the whole channel, or I can just take in there. I can the sound. I can decrease the dB on it, that down, so you can't even hear it at all. And then I'll take, like, if we got a mower running or something, I'll take and I'll cut that section out with the mowers running and decrease the sound level on it. I can increase them. All kinds of stuff that you can do with these editing softwares, and it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I try to when I'm doing videos and stuff, I don't want any cussing or anything on there. I don't want kids on there hearing it, and I want my channels to be kid friendly. I mean, if their parents let them watch pigeons get shot you know, or playing with other kids shooting guns. I mean, I just don't need the cussing and stuff in there. I have a bad enough time in my own life trying to watch my mouth, let alone to help some other little kid to learn a new word, whole new
Yeah.
vocabulary. So that's kind of important to me to keep that on it because I won't post that on YouTube if it's got a bad word in it. I just there's so much kids stuff that kids can get into now, and maybe if I can just do something that's family friendly and maybe they get something neat or entertainment out of it, that's great. But
Yeah.
I got a couple ideas I'd like to do with some help videos and stuff that little things that I've picked up that I could share and just make couple little how-to videos on some stuff that I do that, but I haven't I hadn't had the time. I'm in my busy season cutting trees right now, so and I will be, but when it slows down this winter and I got more time, I'll probably start doing a little bit more like how-to videos and stuff. But I did go buy a gimbal so I could set it on a tripod and it'd follow me around, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So,
I thought about that on some of them, but a lot of them I don't do
dude,
well
you
off
need to get
down.
one. They're awesome. They really are. Because like you basically can give it hand control and it'll just follow you wherever you go. It's pretty handy little contraption.
Yeah, I seen a video guy was talking about one of those, and if you don't want it to follow you, put your hand up and stop, and then when you come back when it follow you, give an OK sign or something like that, and it knows to
Yep.
follow you again, and they go 360 degrees around you, and all that kind of stuff's kind of cool and fun to play with.
Yeah, it is. The technology is there's a lot of it that I don't understand, but I try to play with it and try to keep up on it as much as I can. So, but yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime for sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. When you get something cool to talk about, or something to talk about, or something you're promoting, we'll get back on and just to catch up, and maybe we can get one of your kids on here to tell about their hunting experiences, and
Yeah, we could do that. They'd like
yeah,
that.
get your daughters on and talk about archery, and be fun, and you'll be there, and um, I've interviewed kids like that were pretty young, and uh, I didn't know how old I was when I invited him on, and then I could hear her dad in the background, and so I got him on the podcast too. And I'd expect that, you get minor on there for the parent to be at least there, to make sure everything's
Yeah.
up and up. But
Oh,
you know,
she'd yak your ear off too.
yeah, we'll have to do that. When she's ready to do that, just schedule again, and we'll have her on, and
Yeah, we'll
talk
get
to her for a
together.
while.
Hopefully, maybe we can get this deer that she's been after for 2 years and things work out for her, and then she'll have a story.
Oh yeah, that would make a really good story. So um, after she gets her deer this year, let's get her on the podcast and talk about it.
All right, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right. It's been great talking with you. I'll let you go so you can
Yes,
get back
sir.
to doing what you got to do tonight and get ready um for bed or whatever or you're gonna do because it's almost 9 o'clock here for us.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I didn't have anything
Well,
after this, so I was kind of open.
well, that's awesome. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been great having you on, and I look forward to having your daughter on and chatting about her experiences with archery and her mean dad making her shoot so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have to tell her much. She goes out. We know she got a tournament coming up. She's usually out there just getting ready. And
Yeah,
she'll bug me to go out and shoot the crossbow. I just don't like shooting a crossbow too much, and I gotta replace strings all the time. Always seems like them things eat strings, but we practice enough with it that she's got it down to a whip and she can run it all by herself. All I do is cock it and she takes safety off and range it and do all that stuff. So she's pretty whippy with it.
yeah,
But anyhow, I suppose we'll catch you later, Roy. I appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. We'll catch you later. And those watching or listening, thanks for watching and listening this long, and we appreciate you. And we'll catch you on the next one. My name is Roy Canterbury, and we had our guest Tyson Kline on here. And I've been your host today and with our special guest, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.